Hello everyone and welcome to my hobby blog. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. We're going to do the top 3 thing again, but this time it'll be top 3 of each category. Favorite movies, special features, and packaging. So we are joined today by Will again. Welcome. Welcome back.
Hey, glad to be here.
This is a really fun episode because we can take our time to talk about each of these and not try to sprint through the Criterion stuff because there's a lot of Criterion that I own. So it's hard for me to choose.
Yeah, I've got a couple of hundred of these, so
I have 11. Well, 12. So
I'll try to keep it down. I'll tell you what I'll do is if I have any overlap with you, I won't count those on my lists.
okay, that'll work. Because I know we'll have overlap on the packaging one because we've discussed
At
it
least
many.
one. Yeah.
But first, I wanted to talk about see what movies you've seen lately. I think this would be a fun portion. Just talk about what we've seen lately that were of note.
Sure. Well, you go first.
Well, first, I'm almost done with the Eclipse Kurosawa First Films box set.
Oh,
I just have the tiger who stepped on a man's tail or man who stepped on a tiger's tail left. And I know
okay.
that one is the best one from what I've heard.
What did you think of No Regrets for Our Youth?
I don't think that one is on this set.
Oh,
I think that's
oh,
the post-war one.
that's
Yeah.
post shoot. Yeah, all right. Excuse me.
That's the next one though. That's the next set. But I think the most beautiful is the best one, most interesting one, although it is a
Ooh,
propaganda
yeah.
film. But it's
Yeah,
obvious he was trying not to make it a propaganda film because there's an essay on the inside of the plastic case that talks about how he was kind of pushed into doing
yeah.
it. So he was like, fine, I'll just make a wholesome movie. It's like a Kiru in my mind. It's very similar themes wise. But
Yeah. Well, he ended up marrying the actress Yoko Yaguchi, who starred in The Most Beautiful. I guess they fell in love on set.
but that's wholesome. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Well, what's really interesting about it is the way they first began talking with each other was Yaguchi got angry at him for the way he was treating the actors and kind of criticized them and spoke up for the actors, and they fought, and then they were married the next year.
That's a
So
huge parallel to the movie's plot where they
yeah,
constantly are
yeah,
trying to, get better, I guess, goals, quotas.
yeah. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Also, Takashi Shimura is in it. He's in, like, all of his stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how early he shows up. Like, he's
Hmm.
in Senshiro Sugata, which part 2 is pretty rough, in my opinion. That one was hard to watch. But the first one's really good, like,
Yeah, yeah.
shockingly. But what have you seen?
Well, this could be its own podcast, so I'll just say it quickly. And I'm sure many of your listeners will disagree, but I sat through the Snyder cut of Justice League with my oldest daughter, and I I'm 4 hours closer to the grave. That's my review. That's my review of it. Um,
I've heard,
just
I've heard the ending kind of destroys the rest of the movie, and to
I don't
cancel
I
out
don't know
before.
I don't know how the ending could have made it any worse.
I haven't watched it. I don't care. So I don't
I
care
mean,
about
if you,
Zack
I'll go ahead.
Snyder.
I won't make it. I thought about for a second. I thought about spoiling it, but I won't.
I
Um,
saw the original cut and I was like, "That's a movie," and I moved on with my life.
well, from what everyone says, it's better than the Whedon cut, but I'm like, duh. Whedon's never made a good movie.
Zack Snyder made one two good movies
I'm
early
gonna
on, and that's it.
I'm gonna get some trolls in the comments.
Hey, I got my first dislike. Have you seen my latest video? Has 100 and more views, so
Fantastic.
I'm excited for my first dislike.
Yeah,
It had to
and
happen at some point.
that's how you know you've made it. If somebody cares enough to tell you, somebody cares enough to be like, I don't like this.
Someone logged in and pressed that thumbs down. So,
There you go.
I,
So yeah, so I sat through the Snyder cut. That took up a good chunk of the weekend.
it's a 4 hour movie. Then you gotta, mentally prepare for that.
For
Because
sure.
I actually watched a director's cut last night of Midsummer, which kind of goes along the same lines.
Ah,
Much better than the theatrical. And I loved the theatrical, but there were a lot of weird edits and like character decisions. So I was like, what's going on here? And then like because I saw it in theaters, and a few weeks later, Ari Aster was like, oh yeah, there's 40 minutes missing from this cut. And I was like, oh.
wow.
And
Okay.
then iTunes was like, oh yeah, we're going to have sole ownership over the rights of the director's cut. And film collectors everywhere freaked out because they weren't going to release it on Blu-ray or anything. And I think A24 caved and finally released it. So I got that big collector's edition. And
Okay.
it's
I'm
very
glad.
beautiful on the shelf, but there's no special features, and I hate that.
Well, I'm glad to know that though, because I have a copy of Midsummer, but it's not the director's cut, and I haven't watched it yet. So now I will make sure that I see the proper cut.
Yeah, because this came out like a year or two later. I just got it back in like November because they were running out apparently. But I looked at the store last night because I actually filmed an episode about the release, and I was like, oh, it's still in print because I got a bunch of ads on my targeted ad, Lord Google overlooking my history, saying that they were about to run out. So I caved and spent about $50 on it, including
Yikes!
shipping. So I don't think it's worth it in terms of the release. But it's the only way to get the director's cut, unless you do iTunes. But I'm a physical media guy, so.
Yeah, same.
Anything else you watched?
Let's see. I watched. Well, just last night I watched one of my all-time favorite movies that I was actually showing in my cult films class, and that is Frankenhooker.
Hey,
I'm
Frankenhooker.
always I'm always happy to see that again because there's so many jokes and, uh, and there's so much in it, about the themes of how men kind of construct women's bodies and push them into these packages. But then at the same time, it turns around and it's got all the great stuff of an exploitation movie. And yeah, Frankenhooker is an old favorite. I've seen it many times and enjoyed watching it again.
Yeah, I on the Grindhouse era video sale, I was looking for it and it wasn't listed when I did my orders. On 2 of my orders, I couldn't find it, so I was sad because I have all the no. I got Brain Damage though. I was able to find that, so I can finally complete that because I've seen it millions of times. But
yeah, Frank Henenlotter is a great director. The Basket Case films, Brain Damage, Frankenhooker, all of those are worth seeing. So yeah, that's what I saw.
well, I'm gonna go through the other movies because I put 5 that I just kind of threw up. So French Connection, I finally saw. That's one of those movies everyone gets mad when you haven't seen it. So I finally watched it and I loved it. Moving on with my life. And then I rewatched The Killer by John Woo.
Oh, okay.
So that was fun. I watched it with my dad. He did not like it. I was like, but it's fun. And I don't know. I think the John Wick movies are a little more polished in the genre than The Killer. It's just organized chaos. And a celebration of excess, which I love. So not many people enjoy that, but I do. So There needs to be a Blu-ray of it.
Hmm. Well, see, I also saw, since we're going to be talking about Vinegar Syndrome, I actually saw um, a Jose Larraz film, a Spanish horror movie called Rest in Pieces.
Hmm.
One of his later movies. He's best known for the lesbian vampire movie Vampires with a Y, which is a very good movie. Rest in Pieces is not a very good movie, but it is a lot of fun. Vinegar Syndrome put it out. And then I also watched a film of his final film, Deadly Manor, which 1990 Arrow puts it out. I can say it's probably one of the worst slasher movies I've ever seen, but something about it made it entertaining. I didn't get bored once. I enjoyed myself. There are a couple of kind of weird things about the movie that make it kind of fun to watch. And yeah, I was happy to have that double shot of Jose Larraz, who's an underappreciated Spanish horror filmmaker.
I've seen those releases. I don't own them, or I haven't seen those movies, but I see them pop up all the time when people buy, like, post their hauls and stuff like that. He's not the guy they're doing the box set for, right? Someone else.
They did do Arrow did a box set called Blood Hunger, maybe? Yeah, Blood Hunger, the films of Jose Larraz. And it collects Whirlpool, The Coming of Sin, and Vampires.
So it's not Vampires Lesbos, then?
That's a different Spanish filmmaker. That's Jess Franco.
Okay, because I have that release, and it's the most boring movie ever.
Well, if you didn't like Vampires Lesbos, then I don't know if you'll like anything that Jose Larraz does. But I think they're good. So
they look good on the shelf. I'll give it that. I haven't gotten rid of it. So, and I'm still going through the Godzilla set. I watched Son of Godzilla last night. Well, not last night, but a few nights ago. It was rough. I think it was targeted for kids because there was nothing fun. It was like very focus on the son of Godzilla, and it's the creepiest rubber suit I've ever seen. I did not like it. But the next one I saw was like a big Godzilla movie that everyone loves. Because I'm trying to watch the new one that just came out against King Kong, but my internet's not strong enough to watch it, so I have to buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out.
I'm thinking about watching that since we have HBO Max, but I really hated the last one.
Which one?
The last Godzilla movie that just came out a year or two ago.
The God King of the Monsters?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one. It was total fan service.
I guess I'm not a fan.
I mean, for me, like, I always loved big monster movies. I just want a good CGI, multi-million-dollar monsters fight each other, and that's what I got. And I was like, okay, great. Like, and I was happy. So,
yeah,
there wasn't much I was looking for, because I know it's a Hollywood movie, so I wasn't going to get any strong messages.
Well, I am going to use it as an excuse, the King Kong versus Godzilla, to finally crack open my Criterion Godzilla set and get into that.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to do now in preparation for the Blu-ray. I don't have any of the other ones. I have Shin Godzilla, which I love, and 2014, which is bad. They were embarrassed to make a Godzilla movie. I can't be convinced otherwise. Okay, let's go on to Vinegar Syndrome, the subject of this movie. We can talk about what we've seen all day. So, let's start with just favorite movies in general. I think that one can be pretty easy. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'll just let you know I have exactly 186 Vinegar Syndrome titles, but I'm also a subscriber, so I get everything that comes out, so it grows a little bit every month. That being said, my favorite movies um, of the selection that I have. Um, pretty subjective. I am a big fan of a film called Dolly Dearest.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, the story behind this is kind of amazing. This was directed by a woman named Maria Leese. And Maria Leese got her start as an actress back in the 60s, acting in kind of softcore sexploitation films and roughies. She worked with people like Lee Frost and Joe Sarno, who are kind of big names in those genres. And then she starred in the very first Nazi exploitation movie directed by Lee Frost. It's called Love Camp 7. And the plot of that is she and another, she's a special operations soldier who is dropped behind enemy lines to go into a Nazi POW camp disguised as a prostitute to service the Nazis and then free the prisoners. and that's what happens. So the whole movie is like these softcore scenes with Nazis, and then she turns around and blows them all away. I know that sounds amazing. It's actually not that good of a movie. So anyway, after that, Maria Leese, and there's no websites. I can't find any information about her, but from the best I can tell, she turned to directing, and mostly directed adult movies in the late '60s through the mid '70s, like hardcore pornographic movies. I haven't seen any of these, but that's what's listed on her IMDb page. And then she did this movie in 1991, called Dolly Dearest, and it's the only like just straight horror movie she ever made. And it stars Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and Rip Torn. And it's basically a Child's Play ripoff with this evil possessed doll possessed by some unquiet spirits from an archaeological dig in Mexico.
So elements of poltergeist too, it seems.
yeah, and it's a pretty good movie, but it kind of has become special to me just because of the strange and bizarre story of the director. And so that's my first one. Did you want to alternate or?
Yeah, we can alternate.
Okay, so your turn.
So, what's funny about Dolly Dearest is that I was going back and forth because they still have the slipcover version, and it's like really cheap. So I was like, I should get that. And now, after you saying that, I'm very interested. So.
Yeah, maybe.
So this isn't in any particular order on my favorite movies. It just depends on my mood, but these are usually at the top. So the first one is The Uninvited, not the remake of Tale Two Sisters, which we just talked about, but the killer cat mutant movie. I don't even know how to describe it, but it is so weird and funny, and the commentary track is actually pretty good, where the director kind of talks about where he got this idea, and it's like the most random idea he ever had, because he was, I don't know his name. I could look, but I don't want to make a bunch of noise. But he basically just made a bunch of weird, like, sci-fi creature movies because they were really cheap to make. And so the idea he got was that he wanted to make a killer cat movie, but it's really hard to have a cat that can move from scene to scene. So he came up with the idea that a mutant cat is like a parasite and crawls into the mouth of a living cat, and that's how it gets around. So they can just set a cat down and it runs across the screen. That's how it gets to the next scene. And it's so convoluted, like how they made this movie to work. It's so funny. It has George Kennedy in it. and he's like a mafioso, like crime lord, and they're trying to get to the Cane Islands or whatever the offshore banking island is.
Mm.
And the guy from Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is in it. I forgot his name. It always escapes me. The father. Let me look. Clu Gulager. He's in it.
Oh,
So
I
that's
know.
cool. Yeah, all these like great actors who are at the end of their careers. This director got because it's 1987. So of course it's an 80s movie. And what's funny is that he reused a bunch of scenes from other movies that he made because he got like really cheap towards the end and was running out of money. So you can see he just points out all these scenes that he reused as the movie goes. So that's a lot of fun. But Killer Cats is such a weird genre that I've been getting, like, that I keep discovering about. Because I thought this was a one-off thing, but there's also Strays and a bunch of other weird movies that Shout Factory and Vinegar Syndrome have released.
Yeah.
I wish I had the slipcover. The slipcover looks awesome. So that's my first one. What's next for you?
Well, my second one is Hell Comes to Frogtown, which has always been a favorite film of mine. Actually, when they announced that they were releasing Hell Comes to Frogtown, that is when I finally decided to become an annual subscriber to support Vinegar Syndrome, in the hopes that they'll keep releasing my personal favorites. Hell Comes to Frogtown, directed by Donald G. Jackson, starring Roddy Piper, Sandal Bergman from Conan, Rory Calhoun, Cece Varel, just all these great cult actors who together make such a fun movie. In a post-apocalyptic world, almost all of the population has been killed, and the remaining have been rendered sterile. The government has become a matriarchy, and they are appropriating the equipment of fertile men as government property in order to repopulate the earth in a population arms race to produce new soldiers. So the whole thing's a commentary on not just the military industrial complex, but also the irony of government control of reproductive freedom, right? Which is a timely subject always. So it's got these kind of, I wouldn't say the film is a feminist movie, but it has these themes that are important to feminism. But lest I mislead you and your audience, it is a very funny action comedy with great dialogue and also mutant frogs. Don't forget the mutant frogs.
Great effects too, because I also own it.
Yeah, good practical effects. Very low budget, but it looks great. And Roddy Piper made 2 movies in 1988. They Live and Hell Comes to Frogtown, and that's a pretty good double feature.
Yeah, because I have a hard time with They Live. I think after that halfway point, I kind of lose interest because I love that first half. But Hell Comes to Frogtown is a lot more consistent because it's just like hilarious the whole way through, how it just keeps building. And you have the black market guys, the black market frog, who is like talking to Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Because I watched out on a blind watch. You recommended it to me a few years ago. And you were like, oh my gosh, Vinegar Syndrome's releasing it. You need to watch it. I was like, okay. And it was 2 or 3 years before I could finally get it. And I got it on the Black Friday sale.
Worth the wait.
So my next one is I had a tough time because I haven't looked at the special features for this yet, or it'd be over there. But penitentiary. It's a word I struggle saying. I really like that movie a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's very
Great film.
emotional. I did not like the second one at all. It completely negated everything from the first one. Like I did. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. Have you seen the third one? I think it's on YouTube. You can see it.
I haven't.
The third one just goes crazy, but the first one is a true classic. I actually showed that in my cult films class this semester as well, and the director Jamal Fanaka, part of the original LA Rebellion, the first generation of black filmmakers to come out of UCLA's film school. Penitentiary really gets to the heart of like what the prison system does to people, and all of the issues surrounding race and freedom and commerce. While at the same time being a very entertaining action movie and all of that. So yeah, Penitentiary is fantastic.
Yeah, the second one, because I did a double feature of the first and the second. And the second one, they recasted everybody. They, Subtle, I think his name is Subtle, or Not So Subtle, something like that. The trainer, his character completely changes in the second movie. Because he has that really awesome speech towards the end where he talks about how he'll never fit in to the outside world and all that. And in the second movie, he immediately, falls, into the society and does really well. And he's, joking. And I'm like, this does not feel natural, at all. And so, because I was going to try and put them together, and then I actually watched it, and I was like, nope. Dishonorable mention.
Yeah, maybe it's best to space them out. Not watch it back.
Yeah. What's your next and last best movie or favorite?
It's really hard to narrow these down to three, but I'm gonna go. This is a film that I first saw on VHS in the mid '90s, and I thought it's a regional film with these great New York, New Jersey accents that just make every line sound kind of funny. And it's called Flesh Eating Mothers. Also a film that's got some themes that are interesting to gender theorists, because it's about a disease that is sexually transmitted from suburban husbands who are cheating on their wives to their wives, right? So the guys go out and cheat, and they pick up this virus, and then they give it to their wives, who then turn around and eat them, their husbands, and their children.
It's what the husbands deserve.
Yeah, and it is a comedy, as the title would suggest, with very low budget, and the practical effects are just great. Super gooey, really over the top and campy, and I highly recommend it. They did a great job cleaning it up because it was it's so low budget, but the Vinegar Syndrome made it look pretty good.
Well, that's great, because that was another one like Mommy Dearest where I was on the fence about buying, because they still are selling the slip covers. So I'm trying to gather up as many of the limited stuff as I can. And that was on there, and I was like, man, what an awesome cover.
Definitely get it.
And I have to give a shout out to Sweet Sweetbacks. Badass song. I'm only ever going to watch it once because it's really hard to watch. But it's really good. Because it's very real, I think, in terms of the police brutality scenes and those themes and all that. So
Yeah.
Gotta give a big shout out to that. I got it actually for like $8 on eBay, so I was pretty happy with
Oh, that's
that.
not bad. Yeah, the amazing thing about Vinegar Syndrome, and this is just kind of a sidebar real quick, is that they put out a lot of exploitation films, a lot of classical era adult films, and a lot of movies that are just kind of trashy. But they also put out so many important, in independent and underground films. In addition to Penitentiary and Sweet Sweetback, you've got Death by Temptation, the Dolomite films. I mean,
Yep.
um, so many Black and African American filmmakers whose stuff has never been released um, on DVD or Blu-ray before. Um, Stuff like Paul Schrader's Patty Hearst movie. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just a lot of great stuff in their catalog. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm now at the point where I can be a subscriber, but my big issue is that I'm trying to move out soon. And so the issue I'm having right now is that I don't want to have to go through the loopholes and all that to change my address and all that and have stuff show up hours away for a while I get everything settled. So I think I'll be definitely doing the subscription in
It's a,
November instead and just trying to catch up for now.
it's a big it's a big commitment, but
I see. I just work at home, and with school wrapping up, I have like nothing to spend money on. So I have
yeah,
a
like,
I have a
so
fund.
no need to save for the future.
Yeah, but I did not say my last favorite movie because
Well,
you
let's hear it.
mentioned a Rudy Ray Moore movie, and I think Disco Godfather is a better movie in my
Yeah,
opinion, a lot stronger in the themes of drug use and the government pumping drugs into the community and Dolomite having to kind of deal with that. And the ending is the most insane ending I've ever seen. Ever. It's just Rudy Ray Moore screaming while the worst effects of him shooting lasers from his eyes happen. And he's seeing
yes,
the devil and the young pregnant woman who's, I think, a drug addict in the hospital. She's getting exorcised by a priest, I think. And it is just insane. It's one of my favorite endings ever. And I love Dolomite, but I put that later. So, because I had to go back and forth, I didn't want to put everything into the best movies. Because I only have so many Vinegar Syndrome. But Disco Godfather's so good.
yeah.
So let's move on to the best special features.
Okay.
This one's a little rough for me because there's some caveats to some of these. Um, do you want to go first? Since I just went on. See what you
Let's
say.
see. God, they always have great special features. So many good commentaries and interviews and things like that. I guess I will start with, again, very subjective, and I haven't seen all of the special features. But I will start with Deadly Games, dial code that Home Alone wishes it had been,
Yep.
which comes with an hour and a half long interview with the director. It has an hour-long interview with the child star, now grown up, and they're really fascinating interviews. I know that interview is kind of the basic special feature, but they're so extensive and well done that I think they deserve some recognition.
Yeah, I was actually gonna put that for my number one,
Oh,
but
were you really?
I'll add on to that. So I've seen the hour and a half documentary or whatever, and it is amazing because not many, because whenever I see a documentary on a release, it's always like, 20, 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And there's another release that is really great in the documentary section, which I'll mention later. But this movie, like, he goes from the moment he started thinking about making the movie all the way to present day when it's like a cult film now.
Right. Yeah, and there's great there's a still gallery that has director commentary. There's a short film by the director. What's his name? Rene Manzur. Music video. I mean, just and of course it's a 4K release, so you got a 4K and a Blu-ray. So that's pretty good. Some special features.
Yeah, because I have it on 4K, because I bought it just on the cover alone, because the slip cover is just so amazing.
It's an excellent movie.
I'm just like looking at it right now, just like thinking about how awesome it is. But yeah, so that was also my number one. So I'll just go to my next one or use another one. So the next one I had was the Tammy and the T-Rex. The special features have like really awesome interviews, except for the director one. I think he's a little snobby, in my opinion. He takes himself a little too seriously, which is fine. But I really like the interview with Denise Richards and Sean Raylan, because they have some hilarious anecdotes about the filming of this movie. And Sean Raylan talks about how he and Paul Walker had, like, the day they were filming is when they found out about the testicular standoff.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't in the script. It was just like a Russ and Tussle kind of deal. And then they show up and they're like, oh yeah, here's the cups. And they're like, what? What is this for? And they talk about how they were just about to quit, like, immediately. And so they were like, no, this is our first, like, movies ever. Like, we'll just, power through it. And thankfully we did. And it's a really funny release. And I haven't seen the PG-13 cut, which is amazing, because not many releases have both cuts of movies. Because I think of the criterion of Funny Games by Michael Haneke. Mm-hmm. And how disappointed I was they didn't include the 2007 cut.
Right.
But they have a lot of great interviews on here that contextualize a lot of weird choices, in my opinion, with that movie.
Yeah. A funny bit of trivia about that movie. George Pilgrim, who played the bad guy, Billy, who has the... Okay. So here's what's funny about that. He ended up doing time several years in jail for fraud. He had gone around selling fake packages of subscriptions to people and made like $100,000, but got caught for fraud and tax evasion. Went to jail for 2 years. When he got out, he began having an affair with Sydney Holland, who was the live-in girlfriend of Sumner Redstone, who at the time was a 94-year-old billionaire. Now, Sumner Redstone, some of your listeners might know, owned Viacom, Paramount Pictures, and CBS.
Wow.
And so when Sumner Redstone found out about the affair, he kicked her ass out and took her out of his will. So George Pilgrim ruined her life. So that's my funny trivia about Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a lot of points where all the actors are talking and they're like, we've been many different places through our lives since.
Yeah.
And they don't elaborate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there was an agreement with George Pilgrim not to mention certain topics. uh,
So what's next on special features?
next for me is the Amityville box set, Amityville: The Cursed Collection, which collects Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, Amityville 1992, It's About Time, Amityville: A New Generation, and Amityville Dollhouse. None of these movies are very good.
I was going to ask.
I will say the best one is Amityville 92, It's About Time, which was directed by Tony Randall, who did the all-time great sequel Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. And it's got some good gore and some pretty interesting storylines to it. But they're all watchable and they're all interesting, especially if you've seen and enjoyed the first 3 Amityville movies, which you should, because the first 3 are pretty good. But the box itself is great. It's this nice hard cardboard reproduction of the Amityville house that has the 4 films in it. Each one has commentaries and interviews and all the special features you'd expect. But the box itself is just so cool. It's the Amityville house. You put it on your shelf and there it is. It's what else can I say? That's really cool.
That's because the Blu-ray of the Hitchcock collection comes with the house too.
Oh.
And I remember seeing that on someone's shelf, and I was like, "That looks so awesome."
Yeah. So if you're not in the mood for Hitchcock, you can go for Amityville.
Yeah. I need to get through that DVD set and then get rid of it. But so my last special feature one is going to be Dolomite. I think it's a more fun movie than Disco Godfather, but I didn't want to cheat and put 4 or 5 of my favorites. So Dolomite actually has a lot of interviews with Rudy Ray Moore. He's not around anymore, so they couldn't just interview him like many of these releases. And they also have a lot of really bad quality recordings of him performing, which I never thought anyone would think about recording them, because it's very much like a club, have fun vibe.
Right.
Anytime I go to a comedy club, if I ever go, I don't, but if I was to go to see Rudy Ray Moore when he was first starting out, I wouldn't think to bring a video camera with me. And someone did, and were able to see it on this release, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that's really great.
And it has an interview with Lady Reed, which is fun. And my favorite part is that I found out that Rudy Ray Moore was born in the exact same city as I was, Fort Smith, Arkansas. So, he's repping my hometown. So, that's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yeah, great choice.
So we're going to go on to best packaging now.
Oh, wait, I think I have one more, don't I, for best special features.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go with, this will be a nice transition, because Beastmaster
Yep.
should also be included in best packaging. The packaging for Beastmaster is very similar to Hell Comes to Frogtown, this nice slipcover. Really, it's similar to the Amityville set, too. But I'll get into more of that later. But the best special feature is the 90-minute documentary, which interviews everybody in the film and contains the last interview with Tanya Roberts, who passed away just a few months after the Beastmaster Blu-ray was released. Just the fact that it was, the biggest special feature on this is that they managed to make a Blu-ray, because the master had been lost. And director Don Coscarelli was on the internet asking, if people could find a print in their garages to let him know. He was reduced to going on Craigslist looking for a master of Beastmaster. And in addition to the film itself, there's also a I guess kind of like what George Lucas Lucas did with Star Wars, but better. They include an alternate version of Beastmaster with some of the special effects juiced up with some modern technology. And it's worth watching. I mean, Beastmaster is one of the greatest films of all time. Nobody can argue otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
And
actually,
the Blu-ray looks great. The special features are amazing. Great commentaries. And then just to transition, it'll be my choice for packaging too. Really cool slipcover. Comes with a poster, I believe. Doesn't it come with a poster?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, my version of that poster, which I haven't touched yet because I don't want to damage it with my, hand oils. But yeah, Beastmaster is probably the crowning achievement of Vinegar Syndrome so far.
Yeah, I can't wait because this is the first one of the Vinegar Syndrome University or Unlimited or something like that. A new line that they've been doing. So I remember getting that for Black Friday, and I was so proud to have it, and I just keep picking it up and looking at it because that's also my number one choice for the special the packaging. But so I'll go with my next one. That'll just be a quick one. The next one, I think, is more nostalgia. It's Splatter University. I love the slipcover for it.
Yeah.
It's an okay movie, but the slipcover itself, it's the first one I ever got, like 2 years ago, when I didn't even know what Vinegar Syndrome did. I just saw it on Amazon Prime, and I was like, I really like that movie. Looked up a Blu-ray, made an account, because they were doing the summer sale. And so I got this, and I also got Dolomite and Disco Godfather. And this, I love, like, the actual case and the poster that comes with it is, like, okay. But like, I love the slipcovers, and I think it'd be cheating to say every single Vinegar Syndrome release has the best packaging, because if it has a slipcover.
Yeah. That's a good choice. Well, my next one's going to be another limited edition box set that's out of print, but the Angel Collection. Those 3 films are all great, worth watching. Angel, Avenging Angel, and Angel 3, The Final Chapter. And they came collected in a box set that has some great cover art. Again, it's a sturdy slipcase. The films all have great special features and cover art. It's the total package. Especially if you love the Angel movies, which I do.
I've never even heard of them, so.
Oh man, yeah.
I need to watch them one day. So my next one is one I actually don't own, but I want to get it as soon as possible. And they are the Jello box sets that they've been doing. I don't know how many volumes they plan on doing, but I am getting them all.
There's three so far.
Because they just announced a new one, which is a new line of like Mexican filmmakers, I think. And the first one's the one they just announced. But the Jello sets have such awesome slip covers.
Yeah.
And I'm really disappointed that Volume 1 is now out of print, because it just comes with a plastic case that's like a normal Blu-ray case, and it's so, like, much worse, maybe? I don't know. I don't want to say worse, but it's less appealing than the limited ones. I can't wait to get them in a few weeks, or in a month and a half when the halfway to Black Friday sale happens.
Yeah, that, along with that Homegrown Horrors set you were kind of alluding to.
Oh, is that Volume 1? Okay.
Yeah.
Or the new line, because I thought it was the Spanish filmmakers one.
Oh, that's a different set. Yeah, that's coming soon too.
There's lots of new lines they're doing. It was like Volume 1, Volume 2. And...
Right. Yeah, I hope they're able to keep it up.
I'm sure they're not losing money. I doubt it. They make so much money off of film collectors.
I hope so. I hope they do.
Do you have any others on best packaging?
Well, I definitely want to throw Hell Comes to Frogtown in there, which has a similar packaging as the Beastmaster. All of the box sets have great packaging and cover art. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. I've ordered Six String Samurai. It hasn't come yet, but from the looks of it, that's going to be a pretty good looking package too.
I'm getting that on the halfway because I saw there were more than 3,000 left. I was like, I can
Yeah.
wait. Because I'm going to do a big buy as soon as I can, pick up all the slip covers that I can before they sell out on Black Friday. Halfway.
Well, good luck. We got a month to go, right?
Yep. I'm going to start accumulating so I can get them. But any other honorable mentions before we go? Or...
Oh my gosh, just general favorites. I always like their Roberta Findlay releases, just because she's always a great interview, and her commentaries are so fun. Slaughterhouse, that's a great slasher movie that I enjoy. I recently enjoyed Satan's Blood, a Juan Piquer Simon film, Spanish horror, that I thought was going to be a Rosemary's Baby ripoff, but then it has some twists to it. It's very interesting.
Ooh.
So I'm a big fan of Satan's Blood now.
I'm going to throw in a mention before you do, because you might mention it. But Christmas Evil.
Yeah.
I saw that on, I think, Christmas night, or the night after, and I really liked it. I was shocked by how fun it was. It even has a commentary track with John Waters, who is a favorite of mine.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. Another one I'd recommend is Pale Blood, a early 90s kind of atmospheric vampire movie directed by Vivi Dashin Shu, one of the very few women directors of Asian descent in America, ever. And it's the only feature film she made, and it's pretty good. So Pale Blood is a nice release. I'm just looking through my stacks. Liquid Sky. Oh my gosh. If you've got any connection to goth or industrial musical culture, you got to see Liquid Sky.
Adding that to my list now, because I'm a huge fan of industrial music. So,
well, this and The Crow are the ones you need. And unlike The Crow, Liquid Sky is actually a good movie. Well, The Crow looks good, but it's not actually.
It doesn't help that the main star died halfway. So.
I don't blame Brandon Lee, and I wish he was still here. But
I haven't seen it yet because I know there's that caveat of like, what if, So.
Well, I mean, the film looks amazing. Alex Proyas is a great visual director, and the soundtrack is amazing for The Crow. But the Liquid Sky is just it was of that culture in the moment, and it was kind of making that fashion and that style in the beginning. So really worth seeing. I'll stop there before I break the bank. I could keep going. There's so many good films on the label.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Our next one, I think, will be the Era Video Halls, which will be fun because I have a lot coming.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about on that one. Okay. Well,
thank you for joining.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Happy to be here. And now I have to go back to my actual life. So thanks for giving me some sunshine today.
Yep, you're welcome. I had class right before this, so it was nice to get out of that academic mind.
Yeah. And now I got to go pick up kids from school and do dinner and all that family stuff. So
it's the most fun.
Anyhow, all right. Take care. Okay. I look forward to the episode.
All right. Thank you.